Guys, good evening and happy Saturday. Welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. Thank you so much for being here. I sincerely do appreciate it, guys. We have an awesome guest tonight. Today we are hosting Eddie Wenrich. Eddie, you have to get me how to pronounce that properly. Wenrich. We'll get it right. The independent candidate for governor for the Pennsylvania gubernatorial race in 2022. So we're excited about that. Guys, if you could, please hit that like and share button. And if you have questions, I sincerely and strongly encourage you to ask them. We will highlight your questions. We'll put them up here for Eddie. And let's come with some good questions, guys, because this gentleman could potentially be running your state. So let's get you some interaction with you guys, and we'll get that going. Also, please help support the show, guys. If you could, any little bit helps. If you head over to our Patreon, it's patreon.com/offthecuff with Dustin Heisey. Become a patron. And what happens is you get one of these nifty little hats, and depending on the level you come in at, we'll increase that gift up to t-shirts or whatever we come up with at the time. But as you stick with the membership, every 3 months in that membership, we'll send out something to you for being a loyal supporter of our show. So please head over to patreon.com/offthecuff with Dustin Heisey. Become a supporting member of our show. We really appreciate you doing that. Also, guys, head over to BB3 TV on Facebook, like that page, follow it. So there's all kinds of variety entertainment on that. Go to WLFE-DB Radio Network on Facebook, also on YouTube, and like and share and follow there, guys. So, guys, without further ado, I'm going to jump right in here. We're going to bring in the 2022 gubernatorial candidate for independent candidate for governor. Eddie, man, thank you so much for being here tonight, man. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. So here we are, man. You tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start with some of the background, like where you come from, where you live, where you at.
So I came from Berks County, grew up in Berks County, and went to Governor Mifflin High School, went to college for theater and film, not even remotely close to what I'm doing now. But have a true passion in haunted attractions, scaring people. I used to work for Shocktoberfest, big haunted hayride, and my background pretty much was entertaining. It was behind the scenes. I really never liked being in front of the camera as much, but I always had an interest in politics, and through, I'd say, from the point where Obama's second term started, I started to really pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And that was where it would kept gaining more interest for me. And then when Trump ran, I was actually going to vote for Ted Cruz, and then Trump ran, and I'm like, wait, no, this guy, I'm waiting for this guy to run forever. Like even when I was 16, I'm like, why doesn't Donald Trump run for president?
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously smart enough to run his own business, billionaire.
Sure.
So, and then, so I've been a Democrat. I voted for Obama his first term. I was young and not very well smart at that point. So sorry. But it was, I've gained a lot of knowledge in politics, and I really pay attention to everything going on right now, and have been. My dad asked me, before he died, he said he's like, you should run for something. You need to run. You talked about it, so do it. So
there you
I don't
go.
think he expected governor, but so I'm doing.
That's quite a jump. So have you held any type of political office before deciding to jump in these waters, these shark-infested waters?
No.
So we're having no political background experience at all, and nothing, town council, like student council, you jump right in to gubernatorial candidate for 2022 Pennsylvania. Holy cow.
Yeah.
What either it's really good drugs. What possessed you, man, to do this, to just jump right in like that? That's a big step.
Anyone that knows me would tell you that no matter what the challenge is, I like a challenge. I love a challenge, the biggest challenge. So,
that's a big one.
And I I don't let nothing knock me down. Like if I fall down, I get back up and I just keep going harder and harder and harder. So I wanted a challenge, and I wanted to put the people who are normally in charge or running and in charge of the state on notice. Like, I'm coming after you. Like, be ready, because no one's safe for me on either side.
Well, that's good. I mean, look, we all felt pretty disenfranchised here, over the past couple of years with the state of the status quo of politics. I mean, even in the federal level, whatever, state level. And I'll tell you, really, the state level really came into more focus since this whole COVID thing here hit.
Yeah.
Really that state level politics really kind of came into a lot of people's focus, because it really that's when it really started to affect each and every one of us, really.
Exactly.
I mean, politics, it's such a sketchy thing, and how people run in office. I mean, does it really, as an average American, does it really affect us? But we're finding out very quickly that since Biden took over and canceled all of Trump's, executive order or Trump's accomplishments with his massive amounts of his illegal executive orders. And now we're all feeling the severe effects of that. So my question to you is, all right, if you are elected governor, okay, would you be willing to stand up to the federal government?
Absolutely.
And listen, disobey federal orders coming out of the White House, anything that's illegal, and would you hold accountable anybody who tried to enforce those illegal executive orders?
Absolutely. That's the point of me. That's one of the points of me running. So that's my one way that I can get to. I can get to in touch with the federal level and completely obstruct, because does that sound unprofessional? Yeah, probably, but that's what it's what it takes. I mean, look at what happened, in the colonial days during the Revolution. They obstructed a king, a small, they were full of farmers, basically farmers with pitchforks. And they obstructed a king to take over, and so if they can do it with the odds that they had stacked against them, I can do it, and that's what I want to do. I want to go in there and make this state better, fix it, because Wolf screwed it up, and then obstruct anything that Biden puts in, or whoever's president at that point, because who knows?
Yeah, it could be anybody at this point.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, okay? All right, as an average Joe sitting in front of you now, you're an average Joe too, man. I mean, you just jump up.
That's why I want to do it.
I understand now, but what makes you qualified, brother? What makes you feel qualified to run such a high office with no background experience? What is it that makes you feel that you can handle such a thing? Because, man, look, we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about education, we're talking about taxes, we're talking about and all sorts of taxes, property taxes, school taxes, things that, and listen, personally, there's a lot of people that watch the show, and especially when I talk politics, taxation is theft. What type of things do you think you can do?
Okay? I want to get rid of school tax.
You want to eliminate school tax completely?
Yeah, I want to eliminate school tax.
All right. Then how do schools get funded then?
That's the thing. There's other programs that I want to implement and pass in order to get funding for small business relief, schools, what have you, things that certain people might not agree with, but a lot of people will. It'll gain money. It'll bring people jobs. I want to legalize marijuana for recreational use, and in a controlled environment, I want to legalize. I want to legalize psilocybin and DMT in a controlled environment.
Psilocybin.
Yeah.
So you're talking psilocybin, you're talking about mushrooms. Okay.
Yeah.
And now what benefit is there to legalizing such?
So if they're legalized in a controlled environment, you can't go home and just randomly trip out. No. If you do it in a controlled environment, it's been proven to help anxiety and depression. And that's the big thing. I'm all about mental health, because I've suffered from anxiety a lot for the past 8 years, so it's big for me to help other people that suffer from that. And I know that, when I first heard about it was through Joe Rogan. So it was, and I think a lot of people learned about DMT from Joe Rogan. So it was I researched it, and I'm like, wow, I mean, the science is there. It really it's proven to help people with anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
So now and that also it creates jobs. It creates, we tax it. We have to tax it because that's how we make the money to make fun. Make up for the school tax and the school funding and all that stuff. That's how you do it.
Okay, so you want to create jobs utilizing the drug industry, essentially.
But
I mean, and listen, I get it. You're talking about something that's natural. You're talking about something that is. I understand where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. I get that, but look at this from the perspective of somebody that's already holds political officers, whatever. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, somebody listening to this might have taken that as, well, what he wants to do is create business so he can tax the businesses harder to pay for other things. Businesses are already being taxed heavily in Pennsylvania.
No. I don't want to tax businesses in general. I want when you tax the product, not the business. The taxing of the product would get the funding, because look at Colorado, look at all the states that legalized marijuana. They were out of the deficit within a year and a half, 2 years, mm-hmm. So they had a surplus. And so just legalizing marijuana helped them, let alone, now that's Colorado. It's not California. Mm-hmm. California is in a totally different situation.
Right.
But it helped. It does help, and it will help create. And if there's other things, I'm up for anything. Ideas. So and that's the other thing. I want to incorporate anybody with an idea. I will absolutely look at and consider. And that's the thing. I'm for the people, so I'll listen to the people. That's something that no one else does. They don't care about the people.
There's people out there that do. I mean,
you'd
be. Let's say you'd be coming up against somebody like Doug Mastriano. Okay. Really
like him. Met him.
He's really a great guy.
Yeah.
Right, and Doug has been in the political arena for some
mm-hmm.
time. He understands the swamp and how it works.
Yeah.
Once you step foot into there, I mean, it's trial by fire.
Yeah. And he's one of the people that I would definitely work with. Mm-hmm. And given his record, he's fought for a lot of things. So I know he's
right.
He's
got a military,
retired lieutenant colonel. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And that holds a lot of water. That kind of thing holds a lot of water, especially with people. The voting population, here in Pennsylvania, it's a very veteran strong, very, very, very veteran backed community. And I can speak from that as a veteran myself. But oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I would do it again if they'd let me. But so here's the thing, man. We got this crazy mess, this situation that's going on here in Pennsylvania. All right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it has been handed down to us from the federal government. Yes. Okay. The stuff that Tom Wolf is doing in this country, or excuse me, in this state, we're going to touch on that stuff and we'll mm-hmm. attack that. But a lot of stuff has been handed down by the federal government to us. And this is really important. So you're our first line of defense, okay, against anything that comes down from the federal government. Mm-hmm. So here's one of the things I want to start with, and when it comes to this is, okay, look at the job market right now. Mm-hmm. I can go anywhere, okay, anywhere in my town or in any town that I travel to, and there are for hire signs everywhere.
Yep.
Tell me how you're going to get asses out of the couch and back into the working community after the federal government has practically paid people to sit on their butts and just collect.
Try to convince companies to give some kind of incentive, even if it's to go back to work, even if it's. I don't want to. And I'd like to make it hard. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it, but I don't want to sound like I'm some kind of dictator or something like that, where I'm going to just get rid of, or make it harder for you to get any kind of assistance, because people do need it. Sometimes people who have disabilities or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think one thing would benefit would be, people live off, a lot of people live off the system with food stamps and such, and just make it harder. Where as far as need to get a drug test in order to get approved consistently, need to constantly apply for work. And if you like, that's one of the things now. I believe it is. If you have to constantly apply, and if you're offered a job, you have to take it, or else you don't get your unemployment. But they don't really enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be a way to enforce it and give people incentives to work. And that's what I'm actively trying to figure that out. But I mean, I'm not, I don't have a straight up answer of how I would fix that yet. But that's something that I am working on as far as getting people back to work, because it needs to happen.
Okay. So my wife says take away government assistance if they can work. If they can't, then it's a different story.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to come out and just, be abrasive, just say it. But yeah, that's basically that's what I'm saying.
All right, Mike, I see you're messaging. A friend of mine, Mike, is messaging me in Messenger, and I'm getting questions through that as well. So bear with me if I'm bouncing back and forth here.
It's fine.
But you've got to tell me and the people listening, and all the people in Pennsylvania specifically, how can you make us comfortable with voting for you without the background, without the history? How are you going to make Americans comfortable voting for you?
So I've not it's not like nothing spectacular, but I've been in retail management for probably 15 years now, 16 years. That's what I've been doing. I've been a manager of AT&T for a long time. Verizon, I've been doing. I was the district manager. So I ran businesses. So it's not my own, obviously, but it's obviously a much smaller scale. But I'm the guy who is not afraid to stand up to the people who don't have a voice, who aren't afraid, or they think they're afraid to, or they might be afraid to speak out, because at this point you have like Merrick Garland, who sent that letter out the other day, last week, so for parents who speak up, they're considered domestic terrorists. So that's what you can't be afraid of. You can't be afraid of those kind of threats from the bigger government. And I have no issue whatsoever of telling them where to go and dealing with them. Come on, I'll go to them. And
right. I mean, I can sit here and say, well, it's like Twisted Sister. We're not going to take it, and we could do that. We could point our fingers and we can shake our fists. And at the end of the day, and listen, you stepping up and running, that there is more. Mike, if you're watching this, I cannot answer. I'm sorry. I'm on the show. He just completely broke my train of thought.
Is more.
Okay, it's you. Okay? That's more than what some people do. Okay, people talk.
Yeah.
But then where's the action? Go run for some type of public office. Go run. I don't care if it's just something on the school board. It's where you can affect change.
Exactly.
Okay, so you running. That is more than what some people will do.
Yeah.
But that being said, okay, it's still just
it's just words.
It's just a guy. Exactly. It's just a guy who's saying, I can do this, I can do that. But really, once you step into the swamp, it's completely, you're talking about red tape that is just miles and miles long and thick. So you have to be able and ready and prepared to counter and recounter and go at these people from legal, things. Now I want to jump right back real quick, because this is an important thing. And I think Gretchen actually is right on with this. She says, what about incentives for people that continue to work as opposed to incentives for returning to work? That's the right attitude.
Me working during the pandemic, I didn't get no incentive to stay on, and I think that's a big deal. Being companies, I can't force companies to do it, but I can sit and negotiate with them and talk and meet with different businesses and consider, and get them to, give them a reason to raise up their pay while they're working in this situation. I mean, that's a big deal. I worked right in the trenches of it, right? For all of it. So,
Now, Angie says Anvil's a company here in Columbia, Pennsylvania. We just got almost a $2 raise, and if we work a certain amount of hours by December, we get a $3,000 bonus. Now, that is good stuff, man. That is a company that's rewarding you for working, and that's good. That's fantastic.
I mean, but I work for liberal AT&T, so we own CNN, so it's that ain't gonna happen with my company. So
Becky worked, and her incentive was pizza.
Hey, you know what? Any kind of incentive is something, right? But it's better to be rewarded with some kind of money,
Okay, so this is a good question from Monica. Most politicians, if not all, make beautiful promises to get into office, and then the people buy it. Now, how are you different? Are you selling promises, man, or are you going to walk the walk?
No, that's the point. I'm coming off as real as I can be. I want to be real. I want, I actually was talked down about the idea that I want to literally have like a town hall every week with different people in the state. Mm-hmm. And get their issues and questions and concerns and deal with them all the time. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal that no one does, and that keeps me continuously in with the people. Right. There's a lot of, every politician comes out and makes promises and they never keep them. The only one I could actually really think of that did in some way was Trump. He did do a lot of stuff that he said he was going to do.
He did, but a lot of it was just shattered when Biden got into office and wrote those executive orders. And I feel
pipeline was taken away.
And that destroyed thousands upon thousands of jobs.
Look at our southern border.
Mm-hmm. Right, and now the worst part about that is, and I think it frustrates me the most about that. And again, I want to keep this to state politics as much as possible, but talking about that border and things like that, Pennsylvania is going to have say in what happens in those types of things. You got to be the voice that stands up for Pennsylvanians and says, I'm representing Pennsylvania. I'm representing the majority of Pennsylvanians who are voting. Okay, we've got to be blocking things that hurt the country, like open and free and open borders. Yeah. There's things that do not help.
No sanctuary cities in this state. That's a promise. There's no way I won't deal. I won't deal with it because I'm not. That's created so many issues throughout. There's so many governors and mayors totally, said to Trump, "No, we're going to do what we want," and we're going to let illegal immigrants come in, and you can't do nothing about it. Trump actually backed away. He didn't really do anything about it. But I'm not going to allow any city in this state to be a sanctuary city. There's no way.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm glad to hear that. Personally, it's so incredibly difficult to vet these people that they're bringing in by the busload, especially like from Afghanistan. We're bringing busloads of people into our state that it's impossible to vet them to such a degree to where we can say comfortably that they are not a terrorist. They're not associated. Listen, as somebody who spent time overseas, okay, and with people that were in Iraq, okay, people that had fought in Afghanistan. I myself did not. Yeah. But these people can tell you, okay, that you get one of these. I was going to use the term that we use in the military, and it's just not appropriate. Yeah. But if an Afghan comes up to you, all right, and they say to you, "Oh, Mister, I love America, I love Americans, blah blah blah," and then the next day you see him with his guts blown out, holding an AK, so there's just no telling. They're gonna lie to your face. They're gonna tell you whatever they need to tell you, but then they will try to kill you at the first opportunity they have. So these are things that you have to consider when opening your cities, your borders to these people.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I will welcome anyone in this state as long as they are vetted properly. And
thanks, Mike. I appreciate that, buddy.
And they are legally part of the United States or on their way, and they have background check. Complete thorough background checks, FBI checks, everything is if they can bring them in, if they're from Afghanistan or from wherever. Because the one thing I disagreed with Trump was his Muslim ban, because not all Muslims are terrorists. Like that was a bad thing to say. Like I get what he was going for, but at the same time, it was maybe not the best way to go about it. You can't just I don't know. I'm not Trump, so I don't
yeah, of course. So Sean says, the illegal aliens are being dumped in red states and will be given the right to vote to try to change red to blue. I believe there's probably some truth to that, but I doubt that's like they're. I mean, who knows, man? Politics.
That's why they're letting them open.
It's crazy. I mean, I can't say definitively that it's only red states that are. I don't think that's true at all. I think Democrats want to help people just as much, and I don't think that all Democrats are evil people.
No,
I just don't think that way.
Not. No, but it's a more far left, and more
Yeah, there is a deep state at play.
Yeah,
and there definitely is. And look, the election was definitely hijacked this past election.
Yeah,
and to do something to that effect, to the way they've done that, to hijack a United States presidential election, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not 81 million people did not vote for the tool that's in there now. No way. I'm sorry.
No, I don't disagree with you. I don't. So let's move on.
Yeah.
One of the things that's really important to me, as I have children who are in school. Okay, I have children that are in high school, but I have a ton of friends with children in school. And one of the biggest things that we are having a problem with here, okay, is the stupid mask mandates. Okay, mask mandates. What would you do, okay, in terms of looking at how Governor Wolf handled this COVID crisis? Okay, what would you do differently? Just lay it out for us.
I would ban all mandates, and any school that considers even still doing it, mandating it, they'll be defunded. They'll have to find funding somewhere else. They'll take their funding away from them. That's it. I mean, they're kind of SOL at that point. Like, what are you going to do? It's kind of the opposite. It's kind of what Tom Wolf did, but the opposite. We'll give you funding if you mandate it or whatever. So, or we'll take it away if you don't mandate it.
Right. Now, what would you say to the other portion of the voting class that says you're alienating us? We think masks are safe. We think masks are.
I think masks are fine. If that's your choice, wear it. Send your kid to school wearing a mask. If that's what you want to do, fine. But there would be no segregation. There shouldn't be no segregated kids in certain spots of the school or taking them home. I pulled my kid out of public school and she's in charter school. I just, what? No, I'm not dealing with it. I'm not because my campaign manager is actually, she won her primary for the school district she ran for. So, and she's, so her election's up in November. So hopefully she does well because she's right there with us as far as that. She fights all the time with that school. So,
Okay, so Brandy says, why not just allow them to make the choice? And that's he did just say that. But don't defund them. That's the worst thing you could do. You're harming the kids just like the mask is. It's no different. She makes a valid point with that. Okay, what you definitely don't want to take money away from an institution that is providing higher education to our children. We don't want to disadvantage. Look, I think we're already disadvantaged.
I don't necessarily mean defunding the school itself. Maybe defunding more the teachers union or the school board, somehow punish them. There's got to be a way to, figure out in some way to get them where they just will listen to you,
Okay.
But
that's a tough one. I mean, that's a tough one. And look, that's personally, I think, one of the ones that you're going to have to really work on.
Same with vaccines.
And look, again, she says, I think she meant defunding. Defunding schools is punishing our children for the actions of adults.
Yeah.
We already know the effect of poor finances in schools is in their better way. Right. Exactly what we were just talking about. So, I think we should probably stay away from that. I mean, if it was me, I would just say, look, there is no punishing students. Okay.
No,
there is no punishing students.
No.
But there is punishment. I think there should be punishment, but I don't know if necessarily should be state mandated punishment. But for teachers that disobey or who bully children or make them feel smaller in any way, shape, or form for not choosing to wear a mask, that should be handled, okay, in a way that sets an example for the rest of the state.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, and because I would never want to make the kids suffer. No way. That's what I don't want. They're suffering now, so I don't want that. I want to, if anything, I want to give them more, privilege and advantages and stuff, and make them, work, better in school. That's, but it's the people, the school boards. I've watched so many videos of different school board meetings where it's been horrible. It's like a bunch of robots.
Right.
And they just like the one, ironically, from my high school 2 weeks ago, the Reading Eagle crucified this woman for wearing a mask. She was kicked out of the school board meeting for wearing a mask. Now, I get what she was doing. She was wearing a mesh mask, but it's still a mask. It didn't specify in the CDC guidelines what kind of cloth material it is. It's still a mask, and she was wearing it. But they kicked her out of it, and they actually had the cops pull her out, and the Reading Eagle crucified her. They didn't even give her a name. They just referred her as the woman. Like, wow. So it's getting bad. It's really getting bad.
It is. All right, guys, stay tuned really quick. We're going to go to a quick break. Guys, appreciate you being here. Thank you guys all for watching. If you haven't done it already, please hit that like and share button. Head over to YouTube, Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. Hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you never miss a video when we do go live, which is every Saturday at 8 p.m. Guys, stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk about how Eddie plans to bring businesses back into Pennsylvania. And we also want to talk a little bit about like property tax caps and things like that. So stick around, guys. Don't go anywhere. This is just a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Try again, buddy. Try again. Yay! Okay. Oh yeah! Good job. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com. You're listening to WLFE-DB Radio. Now back to our program.
Okay, guys, thank you for sticking around. I appreciate it. Again, if you haven't already done it, please head over to Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey on YouTube. Hit that subscribe and share this out, guys. And if also, if you're watching us with us on Facebook, hit that like and share button as well. Guys, thanks for being here. We are. If you're just joining us, we're with Eddie Wenrich. Did I say your name right?
Wenrich, yeah.
Wenrich. Okay. We are with 2022 independent candidate for governor of Pennsylvania, Eddie Wenrich. Thanks for being here again, buddy. We do appreciate you taking the time and hanging out with us. All right. So, look, I did get a question. We're going to jump back a little bit because I did get a question while we were taking that break. And it's a good question. So let me jump on it here.
Good.
All right. Where to go? Okay, what about mandates for teachers, healthcare workers, and other businesses? So basically, I think what she's asking is, what about these mandates that have been put on these healthcare workers? And what about the fact that a lot of them are losing their jobs?
It's not the only ones either. Like my company's doing it. I was forced to get it. I already have it. And I regret it every day because it's against everything I preached. You know, like it should be your choice. You got to work with these hospitals and companies in some way to get them to not to comply. I mean, you just can't give in. If enough companies don't give in, or to Biden's order, there's nothing they're going to do. Like they're not going to literally come in and make every single company that says no. If I can get as many as I can to say no, he's not going to find them all. He'll just drop it. Hopefully, that just starts the whole. There's a lot of variables and a lot of things that could go bad and could go good in that and stopping that. But there should be no way that these people should be losing their jobs, especially after they were branded as heroes last year, and they are, and now they're vilified and fired. Just look in New York.
And it's not just because of the mask; that's because of the vaccine.
Vaccine, yeah.
That's where they're them choosing not to take this vaccine.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, not to alienate those who have done it or who have chosen to do it.
If you want to do it.
Absolutely. And this is what I have a personal feeling about this. Okay, I look at it this way. All right, and correct me if I'm wrong. They don't have a cure for the common cold. They don't have a cure or a vaccine. Well, they have vaccines, but they don't have cure for the flu that goes around every year.
No.
They don't have a cure for cancer.
They come up with the biggest.
They come up with a super bug that was created by man. All right, we know that. Yeah. And now they have just automatically have this vaccine ready to go. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I just personally won't be that guinea pig. And I don't care that the FDA approved it. The FDA has approved things in the past that have killed people.
Not good for you.
That doesn't mean anything to me. But all right, so I definitely appreciate your stance on that. That's good. Mm-hmm. So all right, I want to move on to something else. Okay, look, living in Pennsylvania, there are places where you can go that are a little cheaper to live, but property taxes are insane in Pennsylvania. What kind of a plan do you have to offer some relief to people who are paying an inordinate amount of money for property taxes?
I would like to sit down and actually go over with a whole team of people who have been doing this forever, dealing with property taxes and everything, and come up with everyone just pays a specific percentage across the board. Mm-hmm. Nothing crazy, but some kind of tax that covers, a little bit, but it gives them a break. It gives them a big break. No one should be paying an insane amount. I mean, you look at Wyomissing, where the area I'm from, Shillington, Reading in general, and the taxes are insane. Exeter, they're all crazy. Up here in Schuylkill County, it's cheap. I mean, Orangeburg is kind of high. That's where I live. But like Schuylkill Haven, Pottsville, taxes are lower, much lower. So
now in some of these areas, we're talking about we have a crumbling infrastructure. Mm-hmm. We got bridges that desperately need repaired.
Absolutely.
And for the record, bridges that don't need to take 6 months to build. No. So literally, there's a bridge down the street from my house that's blocked this main road out of here. It's been under construction for months on end. It's this tiny little bridge.
They get ready to do the same thing, and
I don't understand it. But what has to happen is, okay, you've got to be able to bring money in. It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to pay for your public school system. You've got to be able to pay for your infrastructure, okay, for your whatever your infrastructure plan is, which I do want to hear what yours is. Okay, you've got to be able to pay for this stuff somehow. So if you're going to step outside of the traditional methods of taxing the people, what's your plan, dude? I want to know how you plan on bringing that money in.
Well, and part of that was when I said about the legalization of those other things. But there's a thing I try to think outside the box and everything. That's why I've always been good with managing a smaller budget. And a lot of it is doing that exactly, is trying to figure out cheaper, but not cheaper, but more effective ways of getting things done without paying high cost. So trying to figure out, well, how can we do this at a lower cost, but still have the best stuff, or the best as best as we can, and not cheap, nothing that's going to be dangerous. But that's as far as infrastructure, especially because that's huge.
It is.
The power grid needs to be redone. That's a huge thing. Power grid. Look at Texas. Look at how everyone thought the power grid was basically
one little snowstorm.
Yeah, and that one little snowstorm just crushed them.
Right.
So that's another thing, roads. I mean, how is it the Romans built roads that still are there now, and we have roads that they built 2 weeks ago that are crumbling already? Like it's just, it's
definitely a problem.
Got to have better design and engineers working on these roads and figuring out better ways to make them.
Are you open? Are you willing to accept some of the newer technologies that are out there? Maybe bring some of this stuff into Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that I would love to be able to do is, now granted, this guy has a crazy busy schedule and he's, but I would love to bring in Elon Musk, and do some stuff and work with him as far as engineering and see what what he could bring to this state.
Okay, well, that's pretty ambitious. That's
yes, it is. I mean, he's in California. He went to Texas. He just went to Texas. So, why not? That's I'm always thinking, I'll ask anybody. I don't care. I'm not afraid to ask anybody. So, all they can say is no, right? So
that's true. That's true.
So
all right,
you got to be able to.
Sean's got a question for you here, buddy. All right, Pennsylvania is a beautiful state. At least it was, as I remembered it. Is there any potential to create a tourism campaign?
Tourism, because there's a lot of stuff to, especially Hershey Park, Philadelphia, Gettysburg.
I was hoping you're going to mention that one.
Gettysburg, definitely.
That's my personal favorite.
Yeah, I love that place. There's all kinds of tourist sites. But yeah, that's like Gettysburg specifically has probably the best tourist things to do as far, because they have the ghost tours. They have it's fun. They make it fun. But his question was what exactly? How do I plan on?
Is there any potential to create a tourism like campaign? In other words, what he wants to know is what could you do to increase tourism to Pennsylvania? Because that brings in revenue. The tourism brings in a lot of revenue.
I know that there's bidding wars all the time for different companies that have sporting events, like WrestleMania, Super Bowl, depending on, and I know the Super Bowl is held in the wintertime, but they did it in MetLife, one year. So, bring stuff like that, big sporting events. WrestleMania hasn't been in Pennsylvania since 1999. So that's a whole week of events that they do that brings in jobs. Temporarily, but they pay well.
Right.
Union work, all kinds of stuff. It's a big, as far as tourism, it brings in tons of people from around the world. So you got to think like that and do bring in all kinds of stuff like that.
Well, see, I think one of the things that what we could do is, and this is my personal opinion, if
Yeah.
I was running, I might say something to the tune of what I would like to do is state-run advertising campaigns to help bolster, Hershey Park,
Yeah.
Gettysburg, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got a ton of things to do out there, but there's beautiful things. There's mountain getaways,
The
you can go to,
Appalachian
and the
Mountains,
Poconos,
the Poconos, yeah, everything.
right? So you could do a state-run ad program just to bring in, outside tourists, and you could do
You
that.
absolutely do that. The other thing
nationwide.
I'd like to do is make it more of an incentive for, like, I know Atlanta is becoming the new Hollywood, so, really a lot. And a lot of films are shot, like Marvel shot there, The Walking Dead shot there. There's all kinds of stuff, make it more of an incentive, maybe give them a tax credit for to get films brought here to be shot and have soundstage. I'm kind of biased. I was a film major, so yeah, but it makes sense as far as business because that's more jobs and that's more reason for people to come and visit because they might see us, they might see, somebody, they might get a glimpse of whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can, and then that's one that I know is been they've dealt with for a long time. I know the city of Reading has tried to get. I was actually in a short film about bringing Hollywood to Reading, to shoot in Reading, and that was years ago. But it was, but they had the right idea. It brings jobs and it brings tourism. Right. So
I want to jump back to Gettysburg.
Yeah.
All right. This is something that is personal to me, near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As a Civil War historian, I'm soon to be published with a good friend of mine, Scott Fink. We're writing a book on photography at Gettysburg, things of that nature. So it's very near and dear to me. Now, one of the things that's been going on around the country, all right, has been the dismantling and removal of historical monumentation. Okay. You can say whatever you want on this show.
Pisses me off.
All right. So here's the thing. All right. Gettysburg is a national battlefield military park. Okay. It's national, but it's in Pennsylvania. Is there anything that you would do or could do or try to do to keep somebody, even at the national, at the federal level, from coming in and dismantling Confederate statues?
Well, I mean, the dismantling of those statues all around the country was during the riots. Antifa, and other groups that pulled the statues down, and a lot of those statues didn't even make any sense of why they pulled them down.
Well, they just pulled down the Lee the massive.
I know
Lee
that was
monument in Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia. Yeah, his home state. Really? I mean, the guy was yes, he was he fought for the Confederates, but he was a national hero, a general. I mean, he was a beloved general by both sides.
Absolutely. And listen, Confederates were named veterans by the federal government. They are veterans of the United States.
Yes.
And they should be respected as such. Okay. Yeah. I know there's a lot of people that talk about, they were rebels and they were this, that, and the third, and they were traitors and this and that. These were people who at the time, okay, they lived in this country at the time. They fought for what they believed in. That's what they were fighting. They fought for their state. Only 1% of the people who actually fought for the Confederacy were actually slave owners. Yeah, and I think that's lost on people when they start getting into this type of a discussion. So my question to you is what would you do? Would you produce or try to push any legislation that protects the monumentation that's in Pennsylvania, not just on the National Battlefield Park, but in Pennsylvania in general?
I haven't been there. It's been 2 years since I've been to Gettysburg, and I didn't see any kind of park service or anything. I don't think I've ever seen any kind of park service, honestly, to tell you the truth. Do they have park service there, like security?
At Gettysburg?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have national security park rangers.
Park rangers. Mm-hmm. Maybe are they armed?
Yes.
Okay, so that's something that you just gotta. If you get wind of a riot or anything going on, you just gotta be able to mobilize and have that place protected by all costs. That's a special place to me. I love that place.
Now, how do you feel about thousands of armed militiamen showing up at Gettysburg to defend monuments and things like that? Now, there's two sides to this one, okay? And I'm a huge supporter of the Second Amendment, but I'm an even bigger supporter of common sense.
Yeah.
All right. And so I'm kind of curious what your take is. How would you handle a situation where thousands of armed militiamen show up on national park property?
On national park property, an armed militia. I mean, I would not suggest it, but I wouldn't condone it either. If it happened, I wouldn't take. I wouldn't. You
wouldn't condemn it. Is what
I wouldn't condemn it. Yeah,
you wouldn't condemn it.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, all right. Well, because we do have a right to keep and bear arms in this country.
Absolutely.
And that is definitely something that the Constitution says shall not be infringed. It's
I'd rather have our police there.
Okay. Exactly. All right. I don't think it's necessary for, look, I have an AR, and I have multitude of handguns, and I believe in shooting, in shooting for sport and things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's a controllable situation to be sending a bunch of armed people out there, guys with guns, and just showing up.
No, it makes it worse
because somebody says they're gonna piss on a statue. Look, if it gets, that's the thing. Like, that's why I said I wouldn't suggest it, but I wouldn't. I mean, if it protected. If there was no one shot or killed and it protected the land, I wouldn't condemn it. But most of the time when you get those kind of people out there, they're law-abiding citizens out there with those legal guns. They're not going to start firing at random people. They're just going to scare them. Right.
That's typically what that would. Because 95% or 5%, or I forget exactly, but most of the gun violence that we have is done by people who own guns illegally.
That's right. Exactly.
That's
so are you going to make sure that Pennsylvanians' right to keep and bear arms never infringed?
Yeah, that's actually I want to do constitutional carry.
That's good.
So
that's good.
That takes away all the red tape. You just do a background check, but you can carry. You don't have to have a license, for conceal or anything. That's it.
Okay, I think that's good. But look, we have to use some common sense legislation in this situation. I do not want to see the Second Amendment infringed upon in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I believe that everybody should be able to. Everybody who is mentally sound and mentally stable should be able to own and keep a firearm. But I don't think it's unreasonable to ask people or encourage them, not mandate it, but encourage them to go through some type of firearm safety training. Okay. You cannot just buy a firearm, go out there and expect that you know exactly how to use that or what it's going to feel like when you discharge that weapon, especially when you're aiming it down at a person.
Exactly. Now, see, I actually, one of my best friends, he's an avid hunter, and he does, he's got his first AR-15, but he has a lot of guns, a decent amount of guns, and I gave him the idea that I wanted to do was, I was trying to think outside the box, but still protect the Second Amendment in the state, and that was by. Well, how do you make it harder for people who shouldn't have guns to get guns? Do a psych eval. Doesn't necessarily disqualify you from getting a gun, but then I rethought that, and I backed away from it because I'm like, you know what? The problem isn't people getting guns legally. It's the problem that the problem is illegal firearms. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to focus more on that, and that's what I talked about, like doing a task force of people. Actually, the ATF would hate me because I would go above them and have and try to have different task force throughout the state that's investigating illegal firearms throughout the state and and you're never going to get rid of them all, obviously.
Of course not.
But I would definitely, and I would encourage ATF to work with us, but it just makes it better. As many illegal firearms as possible out, and we take them, we confiscate them. That's it.
Okay.
But as
All
far
right.
as protecting the Second Amendment, absolutely, that's a guarantee.
Good.
So I'm
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really what we want to hear to make sure that our basic rights and freedoms are preserved.
Yeah.
Okay, because there are things that were given to us in the Constitution that are not to be messed with. And let's be honest.
Unfortunately, the
federal
Constitution
government
is kind of thrown out the window.
These people are fucking with this left and right, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. It should not be done. All right, I appreciate that. Moving on, there's something that's very important to me as well. Okay, homelessness among veterans. Okay, we got this is something. Okay, why do we have people who served our country in combat situations in any capacity? You write your name and you sign that blank check up to and including your life for this government, and we have veterans living on the street. What's your plan for attacking that pandemic?
Well, I don't know how the VA is now, if it's still a disaster as it was.
Not as bad. It's getting better. I'm in the
better.
VA system.
Yeah.
But it's not dealing with the problem. The problem is still too widespread.
Yeah. This one really gets to me, because the fact that we're letting illegals in and giving them all this stuff, and we're keeping our veterans homeless and not helping them, is a travesty, and it should not be happening.
Okay, so would you have used? I apologize for interrupting you. Would you have used some of that federal funding from this pandemic?
Absolutely.
And put it towards the veteran homelessness?
Any kind of federal funding that's given to the state, that's one of the first things that I would use it for. That, small business relief, as many things as I can find that would help the state with federal funding. You're absolutely right. That's
on a grassroots level, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be done.
Yes.
Okay. Look, big corporations, big business, they can handle themselves. Okay. They've gotten to that point. They've gotten to a certain point because of they know the system, they know how to work it.
Well, that's why I said small business, because big corporations don't.
Right. And I'm agreeing with you on that. So but we still have to really focus on this. I'm not even talking about small businesses. We've got small businesses are incredibly important because they employ people. I don't care if it's just two people, but hell, small businesses can't even get people to get up off the couch and work right now. So that's a problem. But we still have this guy. We have men who fought in combat and served this country living on these cold streets. And this is something that I need to know if I'm going to give you my vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know that you're going to be doing something about that, because that needs to stop.
It does. They need, and that's what I'd love to do. I want to get them off the streets first and foremost, and then get them the help that they need as far as medicine, any kind of therapy they may need, any kind of counseling, whatever, anything that they need, they come first, because they're the ones they're why we're here yet. And that's the most important.
Freedom is not free.
No, absolutely not.
Freedom is not free, and it comes down to service, and it's the kind of service you're trying to do.
My dad was a veteran. My dad was older than when I was born. He was 49. Mm-hmm. He was in Korea. He was in the Korean War, I get he was never diagnosed, but he definitely had a split personality disorder. He was blown off a bridge in the DMZ. So it was bad. So
okay, guys, if you're just joining us, we're joined by independent governor candidate for governor Eddie Wenrich. He's running in the 2022 election. So definitely appreciate you all being here. If you can, please like and share this video. Head over to YouTube, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you can. I appreciate you doing that. That's also WLFE-DB Radio Network. Go over there and follow their YouTube page as well. Eddie, I want to talk a little bit about minimum wage, okay? Since we talk so much about jobs, what's your take on where the minimum wage should be in this state?
Well, that's the thing. So with all this inflation that's going up, the cost of raising the minimum wage doesn't really change anything, except just it makes it even. It makes jobs that can't afford to pay people harder to pay people. You know what I mean? makes it even harder to hire anyone. So if they're forced to pay crazy prices for meat, and stuff that for a restaurant, stuff that they need, how are they going to pay $15 an hour for someone to sweep the floors? I don't understand their method of thinking when it comes to how they. I don't know. So my thing is no. I'm totally against raising the minimum wage. Because
so you think the minimum wage should stay low?
I think it should stay at 10.
So you think the minimum wage should be an increase from $7.25 to $10 an hour?
10, I think, would be a good. I think that would cover it. I mean, does that pay for a lot of people's bills today? No. $10 an hour? No. You'd have to get more than one job. But it would for high school kids, for kids in college that are in that's doable. And I think, but that's the other thing. You still have the inflation costs that are going up, and everything's going like crazy. You get people paying $5 a gallon for milk or more. Gas is going crazy. Last year I paid $1.80 a gallon. Now I'm paying $3.45.
That's right. And I drive an F-250. A gas guzzling F-250. Yeah. So believe me, I'm feeling the gas prices right now.
I can imagine.
Insane. It would be great. So listen, Sean, I agree with you. If the cost of living could stop going up, but that's not controlled necessarily at a state level. That's really kind of federal thing that's happening there. Equal what federal government projects call prevailing wage. That's what makes the most sense. A prevailing wage. I mean, I think your wage should fit your skill set.
Yes, I definitely agree. Well, that's with any job, but the minimum person flipping burgers shouldn't make the same. Absolutely not. I agree. But person flipping burgers shouldn't be making the same or more than an EMT. That's the pathetic part about it. There's people who are flipping burgers that make more than an EMT, and that's horrible. It shouldn't be. No.
What do you feel about term limits and career politicians?
Career politicians shouldn't be. You should have,
even if they're doing a good job. Even if they're doing a good job.
Even if they're doing a good job.
Okay.
I think if you want to move up and do another and get something else, you can run for something else. But I think in the Senate and the House, there should be 2 terms, just like the presidency, just like the governor. It gives a chance for everyone to. I mean, you're going to constantly have changes and stuff throughout the years because of that reason. Maybe 4 terms, but that's at most. Nothing like 48 years of Biden. No, or Pelosi or Schumer or Mitch McConnell. That none of them getting, that's why we're in the shape we're in. Career politicians who have not done anything.
Look, I mean, we have a president right now who has a track record of doing absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
And I don't think
and he was
gotten to this
about point. We're going to go into him. He was all about. His exact words was,
"Hi, kiddo." That's my name.
His exact words were, he didn't want his kids going to school with, another race. I don't want to say the exact term he used because it's bad. But he's not exactly the prize for being the most nicest person as far as race. He was definitely racist. And that's what I can't figure out. I can't figure out how these people do these things and then they're loved now.
Well, because it's the opposite of what they hate. You see, I mean, they hate Donald Trump, so anything that's not Donald Trump is better for them. Regardless of whether Trump's done a great job, regardless of whether the man has actually followed through and did what he said he was going to do. I mean, this is one of the biggest things that frustrates me the most about politics in general. You stop looking at the man. Okay, Donald Trump, when he opens his mouth, there are times when I'm just like, dude, shut up.
Absolutely.
Just shut up.
I mean, not that he ever read them. not that he ever read them, but I tweeted him so many times going off on him because I'm like, dude, just shut up, stop talking, and just do your job, and you do a lot better. You know, like.
Yes. Okay. That is one of the biggest things I think people had the issue with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, I think he governed really well.
He did.
You know, but it gets so clouded by the shit that comes out of his mouth. That, you know, that people just kind of got disenfranchised with him. You know, and it was redundant. And it was repetitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Fake news this, fake news that. He's focusing on all the wrong things.
Russia.
You know, but regardless, I think you know, I think Donald Trump did good things.
He did.
I think Donald Trump could have done better in certain aspects. But again, we're on the state level here, and that's really where I kind of want to focus. And you know, one of the other things that, you know, living in close proximity to an incinerator, to landfills and things like that, what's some of the things that you would do differently with the environment? Because the environment is an important part of what we do here in Pennsylvania. You know, would you do anything to improve air quality? Would you do anything to improve waste and waste disposal? Things.
Well, this is one of my biggest battles as far as myself, because I'm torn between, you know, doing like solar and doing a more cost-effective energy sources than but at the same time that takes away jobs, coal mining, or, you know, there's other stuff that, you know, other jobs that people, other natural resources that create pollution, you know, and that's where I'm kind of mixed, because I don't want to take jobs away from them, but at the same time I want to help the environment. So you know, I think it's not too much of it to ask the people to recycle everywhere. You know, I think that'd be a good thing. You know, it's to reuse that kind of stuff. Trash. I was always like down south. My mom's from Tennessee. You know, and they, you know, my aunt and uncle, when I was down there, they always burned their trash. I never had an issue with that. You know, like. That's the easier way to get rid of trash. You know, you're not going to have landfills. You're not going. I mean, there's other ways to do it, obviously, but like I want to help the environment in some way, and I think trash, like these big landfills or incinerators that or everything, they are polluting the air. I mean, it's a look at when we were all locked down, all the water, all the oceans were clear. You had dolphins in Italy. You know, it was beautiful. I mean, at the same time, it was bad for everyone else, you know, being locked in. But the environment healed itself in just that little bit of time.
It's true.
There was no pollution. So, you know, I'm still that's something that I'm still working on as far as how I can do that, because I don't want to come out and say, well, I'm going to do this and not
right. But you got to have a plan in place, and I would hope that plan would be reaching out to professionals in the field,
experts, and people in that field. Absolutely,
right? Yeah. And getting the ball rolling and doing something.
I want to have the best minds I can around me to knows that, so I don't go in there because you know, like honestly, I'm going in there. I've never held office, so do I know everything about that? No. But I'm going in there trying to get in there because I know that I can make a difference more than anyone has so far. And I want to work with the best minds that gets the best results. That's common sense. You know, that's something that most of the politicians don't have. So,
yes, we are lacking in that department when it comes to the federal government, but for sure, and even state government,
more state and local government. They you know, there's a lot of good people, like Mastriano. But then there's some that, you know, like I don't know if you've Lou Barletta.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he bankrupted his city, Hazleton, when he was mayor. That's not exactly someone I would trust running my state.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's he's what I think. I believe he's their front runner right now as far as a Republican side.
Mm-hmm.
And McSwain just announced. I don't know if you know him.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, Trump appointed him as the attorney in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
These people. There's no. That's my main thing is there's no accountability to anything. As far as bigger upper, like in Harrisburg or with Wolf, he's had to account for nothing, and that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Biden doesn't there's no accountability for anything.
Well, Biden's not pulling the strings.
No,
Biden's wearing the strings, and somebody else is pulling on them.
I mean, they're not even in the White House now. They're on a stage. They're on a set.
I've heard that.
That's kind of weird. By the
I've
way.
heard that, but putting something
today.
You saw that
on TV, yeah,
know that
on Fox News they were on that set. Now that someone leaked that photo, they openly showed the set.
What?
Yeah. So
holy shit.
Yeah, they're not even in the White House.
I'm gonna have to take a look at that one. That's interesting.
Please do. It's kind of creepy that they're not. Why are they not doing it in the White House?
Yeah, someone has their hand up his ass like he's a puppet. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk a little bit. We're running over, and that's okay. This is an important show, and I think we need to keep talking about this. Healthcare. All right,
yeah.
Healthcare in. We've already talked a little bit about COVID. We've talked about mask mandates in school. We've touched on all these topics. I think I think you've had some good answers. But I'm going to be complete transparency. I still think you have work to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I still think you've got to really start digging into some of this stuff and really building a strong team around you.
You're learning every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be a sponge, man. Soak it up. But healthcare in Pennsylvania. All right. Let's talk a little bit about that. You've got people who are being denied certain healthcare that they need, life-saving treatments, drugs, prescriptions that they need, life-saving, that are costing them so much money. They're losing everything. People are losing their livelihoods, their homes, everything that they've worked on. Tell me, what are you going to do? What's your plan to improve Pennsylvania's healthcare system and ensure that people who need it are getting it?
Well, Medicare and Medicaid, and that's one thing that needs to be restructured. I think, and absolutely, it needs to. There's got to be and dealing with exactly.
Insulin's bad.
That's a big one. That's
insulin's
huge
bad.
One. I was just going to say insulin, and she beat me to it.
Yeah.
People paying crazy prices for insulin, but pay what $30 to get their bottle of Percocets refilled. How does that make any sense? So that's that's the other thing. You got to deal with the drug companies. So there's many different things. Restructuring Medicare, Medicaid, get the costs, get them to cover the costs of insulin and really important medication that people need to survive. Like I have to take thyroid medication.
As do I.
Okay, I was born without one.
Mm.
So I literally have to take it every day, or I'm dead. So it's a big issue, and I can't give you a straight answer of how to, but I will go in and work with the experts and figure out exactly what's the best course of action to do it, because it needs. I acknowledge that there is a problem. Obviously, all of us do. Most of us do, and it needs to be restructured, and the money needs to be put in different places.
Right.
That's reallocated in different areas, and that's the problem. Money's put in the wrong places.
Right. Now, look, mental health is an issue in
yes,
Pennsylvania.
That's the big. Okay? I'm big for that.
And again, we need to be doing things that are getting these people help, and without it causing them to lose their jobs, or without it being a stain on their record. People are, and again, listen, I will say that it has gotten better over the years, but it's still a stigma attached to a person who says, hey man, I'm having these thoughts, or I'm doing this. What can we do to address mental health a little bit better and a little bit more thoroughly.
Well, especially with COVID over the past year. I mean, people, especially in young age, people have the suicide rate went through the roof. So you gotta. So speaking from which, I've seen a counselor before, and for because of my anxiety, I think more people need to be involved. Should get involved in as far as just volunteering, and helping. But that's something that you can't make someone do. There's got to be a system put in place that anyone who needs help gets it, and that's what I want to create. Something that if anyone notices signs or of anyone who's very depressed and looks like they're on the verge of taking their own life, that they can get them help right away, not call a doctor and we'll get them in tomorrow, or whatever, they'll put them in insurance rates, another thing, they go up all the time, and right. Deductibles, co-pays, I mean, that's the other thing, like try to work with insurance companies too to lower these co-pays and deductibles, because they're crazy, they're through the roof, but and so that's.
Well, you got your hands full, buddy.
I do.
Yeah, you got your hands full. Again, this is a lot for somebody like me or even you, just an average Joe stepping into this arena. I mean, so before we wrap it up, I'm going to ask you again, are you sure you're up for this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I will. That's one thing that I don't give up, and I don't give in, and I learn. I am a sponge. I learn as fast as I can, and everything that I can. So I'm constantly watching things, reading things, just trying to get as much information as I can. Does it all click in at once? No, but I have a lot of notes. I have a lot of everything that I keep, that I read, files that I read, everything, just to keep it all. So in case I need to go back to it, I got it. That's. And that's something that anyone should do, in any form of work. There's something you need to learn and you need to look back on, keep it. Good message for college kids. Always.
Not running, but when I do, I'll let you know, Mike. He'll be the one guy that votes for me.
But I wanted to say one thing before we left.
Sure.
We wrapped it up.
Thanks, Mike.
Nursing homes is a big one for me. And children and youth. Now, the thing that I said this the other night when I spoke at Free PA's Schuylkill County chapter meeting. I said about this one thing that I wanted to do is every time there's an inspection for a nursing home, they're planned ahead. They're called ahead. Well, of course they're going to look good when they come in because they're already planned.
Right.
You don't do that. You surprise them. Same with children and youth. You make an appointment to meet with the family and meet the kids and make sure everything's okay. Well, of course they're going to look all happy and nice because they planned it, and they probably scared the kid out of his mind to make sure he's good. Surprise visits. Common sense things like that. These are things that I've really tried to like. That are important to people is even more than other things we've talked about. But like it, that's nursing homes and children and youth. That's a big one. Elderly and their kids. That's very big for me.
Right. We got to take care of them. They have to be taken care of. I don't think it's fair that these people like Masonic Homes. I'm sorry, I'm dropping names. I can say this because I've got personal experience with my father. They take absolutely everything that these folks have worked for, their legacies, and they liquidate them for their own money, for their own costs. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know what it costs to take care of somebody. I mean, somebody who's got cancer, who is dying, taking a long time to die, as my father did. But there should be some protections against stuff like that. A father and a mother, families work very hard to try to leave their families something, and then for them to be taken and just liquidated is wrong, in my opinion. I think there should be something done to kind of put some checks and balances.
My mom has been a CNA for 40 years, and she at one point worked at Berksheim. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
That's a big nursing home in Berks County. She quit. Should quit. She just walked. She told the person off because they wouldn't. They wanted to cut corners and not change the person's pull up, and leave them laying there in piss and get bed sores. And my mom's like, no, we're not doing this. We're changing them. We're keeping them. You can't do that. That's horrible. And she still is taking care of, and she's always done that. She takes care of elderly all the time. So that's her job now. That's been for years. So yeah, that's very important to me.
Good. Hey man, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I sincerely do appreciate
I
it.
hope I answered your questions as best as I could.
Look, yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, in being completely transparent, okay?
Yeah.
I want to see you do more work. I want to see you dig in.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have you back on the show a little bit later down the road,
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely welcome here. I'll do what I can for you to help you out.
Thank you.
I am definitely behind the movement. I want to see, average people. The government is supposed to be made up of the people.
Exactly.
All right, we are the people.
Yeah, they work for us, not the opposite way.
Exactly. So I support what you're doing, and I want to get Heather's comment back up here really quick. It's her grandmother was treated like she was nothing in a nursing home, and it's personal. We all experience these types of things, and these are things that definitely need to be addressed. I want to see you, walk the walk, my friend, not just talking the talk. So, keep us, keep in touch with us, man. Keep us posted. Let us know how things are going. And we'll definitely, be here to support you. So, I'll get you to, just before you go, if you want to say a couple of words to the listeners and people that will be listening to this later on Spotify and iTunes, here's an opportunity for you to do it, man.
So for everyone that's listening, I'm a normal person. I've never held elected office, and I never had planned to. But things change, people change, and there's some things that are just more important than yourself. And I think this is it for me. Back in April, I was working on a design for an entertainment complex that was going to be awesome, and I just kept getting tired of things going the way they were, and I'm like, you know what, the hell with it. I'm running for governor, and people are like, what? So that never say you can't do something, because I always refer back to the Revolutionary War. That's the best example. Absolutely. You can, because they did, and we're here because of them. And that flag right there, we're here because of that. So, Amen. And they had worse odds than I do. So
you think? You think?
No, they had way worse odds than I do.
Sure.
So,
hey, do you have any funding? What are you doing for funding? Tell us how
just private funding. Like, I have a link on my page for funding. I have, friends, and it's grassroots. Like, it's not. I'm not getting funding from big donors, and because who am I to them?
Sure.
So
you've got to be a voice, though. You've got to make your voice heard. You've got to get out there.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Shows like this.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get. I've been in 3 newspapers and this podcast, which is great, and I'm trying to get out there more. I'm trying to, it's a struggle because no press is taking me seriously, because who am I? That's so.
You got to give them a reason to, and money talks.
I'm nagging them. I made that my campaign video. I don't know if you watched it.
I did watch it.
What did you think?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you offline.
Yeah.
And to give you some of what I personally think about what you could have done differently, what you could have put in there. But I think it's good. I think it's a good place to start.
I wanted to do it that way for 2 turn heads, and it did. And I got stuff taken down on my TikTok account for the campaign. And I only made it a week ago.
Oh jeez.
So I got crazy amount of views and followers from it, and
it's because you sounded too Republican. That's what it was.
Probably.
You sounded too Republican.
And that's the thing. Like I do have liberal views, like recreational marijuana and DMT and legalizing all that. That's a more liberal view, But I'm more into freedom. People should have the freedom to do whatever.
Yeah.
Not do whatever, but have freedom of choice.
Right.
It's got not whatever they want. Obviously, there's got to be, but to have freedom of choice, and I think there should be options for that, and there should be more than 2 parties. That's for sure.
Well, that's across all politics,
Yeah.
The 2-party system is destroying this country.
Absolutely.
It's destroying the fabric of what it is to even be an American. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in smaller government. I believe there is a need for government. The government needs to really minimize its reach. And unfortunately, federal government overreach is just at an all-time high.
There's states that are calling to succeed. I mean, the succession. Like I know, New Hampshire wants to do talk about succeeding from the union, and so is Texas, California. There's been celebrities that come out and saying, "Well, let's just let this go and let them do their own thing, and branch off."
Well,
what?
The thing, I don't even think states can legally secede from the union at this point. I think there's and I'll have to research this. I don't think you can. Talking of secession is one thing, but actually going through secession, there's probably other things that they could do.
Yeah.
But
that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, I think after the American Civil War. And battling secession for 4 years, the government was going to put some checks and balances in place to keep that from ever happening again. So, well, definitely appreciate you being here, Eddie. It was a great talk. I wish you all the best in going forward, man. Keep digging at it. You have my support. I definitely want to see, a grassroots effort here build up around you. Definitely stay in touch with the show. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to drop you out here for a second. Don't go anywhere, and I'll be right back with you guys. Thank you. Oh, really quick. What's your website? Put that out there for everybody.
It's not finished yet. It'll be up, but it is. It's EddieJWenrich.com.
Okay. And can they follow you on Facebook?
On Facebook, Eddie J. Wenrich, and Twitter, Eddie7697.
All right. Thanks a lot, Eddie. And just hang tight. I'll be right with you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's program. I seriously wanted to come at Eddie with some tough questions. There's stuff I really would have liked to have gotten into, but we'll definitely have Eddie back on again in the future. Give him an opportunity to kind of settle into the role a little bit. And we'll come back at it again. Thank you all so much for whoever hit that share button and liked it. And we do appreciate that. Every single one of those things counts, and I sincerely do appreciate that. And if you haven't done it already, guys, please head over to Facebook, Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. There's a group page. Please like and follow that page. You can go to WLFE/DB Radio Network, like and follow that page. Also the same on YouTube. WLFEDB, BB3 TV. Please like and follow all of those pages. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Join us again next week. I'll watch for for the announcement of who's going to be on the show on Wednesday. Super excited about it. And we'll go live again next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you guys please head over to patreon.com/offthecuff with Dustin Heisey and become a supporter of the show. Every little thing helps. And we sincerely do appreciate all the support that we've gotten. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And again, for going off the cuff with Dustin Heisey. Have a good one.